This bulletin is read by Sibongile Ziambo. The headlines. SCB warns people planning evil against its employees that they will face the law regardless of position in society. Traditional leader in Blantyre proposes castration on perpetrators of rape and defilement to help end the vice. President Chakwera asked Lilongwe City Council to be vigorous in enforcing laws on illegal settlements. In sports news, Malawi under-20 national team ready to face Comoros this afternoon in COSAFA Youth Championship. Thank you for joining me. The Anti-Corruption Bureau has warned people reportedly planning evil against its employees that they will face the long arm of the law. The warning, issued by ACB Director General Renek Matemba, comes days after a National Statistical Office driver reported that he was pursued by some unknown people from Shewi Lilongwe to Lilongwe, who mistook him for an ACB employee. Matemba challenged that the Bureau will not relent in tracking down on people involved in corrupt practices, regardless of position in the society. We have this report for more.
The Anti-Corruption Bureau ACB Director General Renek Matemba dated journalists in Lilongwe to update Malawians on progress made to this end in the fight against corruption. Matemba announced that the Bureau has reported to the Malawi Police Service an incident involving a National Statistics Office NSO driver who he said was pursued from Shewi to Lilongwe by unknown people. Matemba said later the men confronted him, asking where the SCB was keeping former Deputy Minister of Homeland Security Charles Nchacha, who was arrested at the time. However, Matemba said the Bureau has not connected the incident to Nchacha's case, but has warned that the law would deal with any person that may be planning anything against the SCB officers. In July 2015, an SCB top official, Issa Njauju, was murdered, and the matter is yet to be tried in court. The Bureau has announced that it is so far pursuing 207 cases that it has received since July this year. For Zodiac in Lilongwe, this is Western Guta reporting.
Senior Chief Kuntaja of Blantyre has publicly called for the adoption of castration to help deal with rampant acts of rape and defilement in the country. The traditional leader said yesterday that Malawi should borrow a leaf from countries that have dealt with the criminal act after adopting use of castration on perpetrators of the vice. But Human Rights Defenders Coalition has expressed reservations on the suggestion, saying Malawi should always apply punishments that do not violate human rights on convicts. Alfred Guta reports.
Senior Chief Kuntaja has no kind words for defilement and rape culprits. He wants stiffer penalties on perpetrators, saying enough is enough. He says a 20-year jail term or castration could help in dealing with the vice. The senior chief spoke in an interview Thursday at Chimembe Primary School ground on the sidelines of the launch of the 2020 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence. Councillor Karo Mdala of Chilawen Ward shares the chief's sentiments. We called up Human Rights Defenders Coalition HRDC National Coordinator Luke Tembo for a comment on such suggestions. The 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence has been launched under the theme Unite to End Gender-Based Violence, Prevent, Report, Respond and Fund. For Zodiac in Blantyre, this is Alfred Guta.
The United Nations has faulted Malawi government for failing to create a conducive environment in empowering persons with disabilities socio-economically. UN Resident Coordinator Maria Jose Torres says over 10% of people with disabilities in Malawi struggle to get education, health services, and dignified sources of income. She said this in a statement issued yesterday as the world commemorated International Day of Persons with Disabilities. Meanwhile, Minister of Disability Affairs Patricia Galiati has admitted the disparity, saying a lot needs to be done to promote the welfare of persons with disabilities in the country. John Pokayuni reports.
The United Nations UN has challenged government to scale up efforts to ensure full and equal participation of people with disabilities in all aspects of society and development. Head of UN in the country, Maria Jose Torres, says over 10% of Malawians with disabilities continue to suffer many challenges in accessing education, health services, and dignified sources of income. She said this in a statement as the world commemorates International Day of Persons with Disabilities, where she also condemned the recent killings and exhumation of remains of persons with albinism. We have read her message in our studio.
Every day, persons with disabilities face face barriers not just due to their individual characteristics, but also due to harmful cultural practices and physical or institutional environments that result in vulnerability and exclusion. Greater efforts are required to dispel harmful beliefs, bring perpetrators to justice, and create circumstances that facilitate full and effective participation of all persons living with disabilities, including persons living with albinism.
While admitting that a lot needs to be done to promote the welfare of persons with disabilities in the country, Minister of Disability Affairs Patricia Kaliati says government is implementing activities that aim at protecting rights of persons with disabilities.
We are happy that they've decided so, because they are the ones who are going to fund us. They are the ones who are having resources, and I'm sure they are going to talk about our budget and that we need to do some sort of inclusiveness of persons with disability in other programs.
Theme for the International Day of Persons with Disabilities this year is building back better towards a disability inclusive, accessible and sustainable post-COVID-19 world. For Zodiac in Lilongwe, this is John Paul Kayuni.
Meanwhile, mental health experts have declared continuous neglect of needs of people with invisible disability, such as mental health, which has recently aggravated cases related to lack of proper mental health in the country. Executive Director for Mental Health Users and Cares Association, Tandiwe Mkandawire, says only 1% of the national health budget is allocated to mental health, which is not sufficient to deal with mental health challenges. Angela Mkandawire with more.
Mental health problems that include depression, stress, psychosis have been described as some of the invisible disabilities that need to be checked if cases of suicide, rape and defilement are to be reduced. Tandiwe Mkandawire of Mental Health Users and Cares Association says mental health is one of the invisible disability that government continues to neglect, as evidenced by very little budget towards mental health, limited mental health facilities, and also non-existence of community mental health forums.
In Malawi, mental health is neglected and underfunded. As I mentioned in my presentation, only 1% of the national health budget goes to mental health, and that results in many mental health gaps or in terms of services. So we have limited number of mental health specialists, so we're talking about psychiatrists, psychiatric nurses, clinical psychologists, and clinical social workers. And then that also results in lack of mental health services at primary care level. We're talking about health centers, so you don't have specialists in those areas or mental health services in those areas. And also we're talking about a lack of community-based mental health services.
At the commemoration of this year's World Disability Day, the Malawi Union of the Blind also called for inclusiveness of people with physical disabilities, such as the blind, by among other things ensuring that they access all materials that support their daily lives. Malawi Union of the Blind Communications Officer Clive Porter said aiding materials are expensive for individuals to purchase on their own.
I'll give you a disability of visual impairment. There are Braille Pickens machines, there are laptops which we put softwares to speak. There are white canes that persons with visual impairment uses when walking, like this one you are seeing here. These things are very expensive. That's why maybe the minister hinted on that point, and it's always our plea to the government that it should be considerate enough when purchasing these things. We always preach for inclusiveness for these things.
Minister of Gender, Disability and Social Welfare, Patricia Kaliati, has, however, assured the concerned that government is already working on revising the budget towards disability, which will be done when Parliament meets in February.
As we are commemorating the International Day of Persons with a Disability, some of those disabilities which are not even noticed, and for them to come up and looking for the budget, it's a thing which cannot go without even taking a number of actions on those.
For Zodiac, this is Angela Mkandawiri.
Communities around Ngombe village in Salima, where a dumping site for the district council is located, have demanded immediate closure of the site. The communities allege the dumping site is a health hazard to them, as they are being exposed to the risk of contracting waterborne diseases. But Salima District Council spokesperson Grace Kabatuga says the council is not ready to move the site now. Joseph Masizi is following this story.
The community members claim the village has been prone to cholera in recent years due to exposure to the waste at the dumping site, and says the council should move with speed to move it. They argue a majority of the community members are Zionists and don't believe in taking medicine, hence prevention is key to them. According to the community members, children flock to the dumping site, which is less than 500 meters away from the village, and says this is dangerous. However, spokesperson for Salima District Council, Grace Kabaruga, says the council does not have plans to move the dumping site soon.
In the meantime, we'll continue using the Ngombe dumping area until such a time when we identify a new place where we can relocate the dumping site. It may take a bit of time because it's a long process for us to identify a new place, because we need to consult the people from around the new area as well as chiefs, and we also need to consult the full council, which gives us a go-ahead to implement anything we want to.
Member of Parliament for the area, Salima South East constituency, Mike Mawa, says he will continue pushing the council to move the site to somewhere at any opportunity. Reporting for Zodiac from Salima, I am Joseph Mazizi.
The Youth Decide campaign has developed a youth loan model which they want government to use in dealing with challenges being faced in the disbursement and repayment of the MEDEF loans, now rebranded to National Economic Empowerment Fund. Vincent Kumwenda, Chief Executive Officer for MHub, a partner in Youth Decide campaign, says the model has been developed in consultation with other stakeholders in the microfinance sector. He said the model also highlights some reforms that are needed in identification of beneficiaries for the fund. Angela Mpandawire with more.
The Youth Loans model is part of the process of lobbying government to implement programs in relation to the Youth Manifesto that the Youth Decide campaign launched last year. MHub and Youth and Society have spearheaded development of the model, realizing lapses that have marred the previous youth development funds, including MEDEF, in recruitment and selection of beneficiaries, lack of operational capacity, and repayment mechanisms. The proposed model, according to MHub Chief Executive Officer Vincent Kumwenda, suggests reforms in selection and loan repayment processes where beneficiaries will have to use mobile money services to repay loans, and introduction of tough measures for defaulters, and also specific number of people accessing the loans per district.
We're also looking at the repayment processes. There should be proper ways of repaying, and even punishment given to those that have not been able to pay the loans, because at the end of the day, this is a revolving fund. Everyone else would want to access these loans, but if people are not repaying, it means that more people are not able to access because of that.
According to Kumwenda, the group is optimistic that government will adopt the model so as not to frustrate their efforts.
It would be useless for us to develop a model and then maybe it's not adopted at the end of the day. So we hopeful that some of the elements of the model will be adopted, and maybe we are going to inform the approach that NIF is going to take in moving forward. So
currently, government is reviewing the NIF loan scheme. For Zodiac in Mzuzu, this is Angela Mkandawire.
You're watching News on Zodiac. We'll be right back shortly. Welcome back. Let's take a look at the headlines as we continue the news. The SCB warns people planning evil against its employees that they will face the law regardless of position in society. Traditional leader in Blantyre proposes castration on perpetrators of rape and defilement to help end the vice. President Jagwera asks Lilongwe City Council to be vigorous in enforcing laws on illegal settlements. In sports, Malawi under-20 national team ready to face Comoros this afternoon in COSAFA Youth Championship. Moving on with the news, President Lazarus Chakwera has asked Lilongwe City Council officials to engage an extra gear in enforcing laws that deal with informal and illegal settlers, as the tendency has reached deplorable levels. President Chakwera was speaking when he met officials from the council, observed that the cases of illegal settlements in the city have reached deplorable levels. Statistics for the city's population show that 780,000 people out of 1.2 million live in informal settlements. Andrew Viano filed this report.
As Lilongwe and other cities continue to register high cases of illegal settlements, President Chakwera has asked Lilongwe City Council to tighten laws that will bring sanity in settlements in the capital city. Chakwera said the council should find innovative means that will ensure that the city has funds that will help finance its strategic plan for a better city. Lilongwe City Council Chief Executive Officer John Chome says they have already started dealing with issues of illegal and informal settlements.
Regularizing all those people who built, who just acquired land by themselves without going through official channels and built their houses. We are regularizing that in several areas, in Area 25, Area 21, Area 49, and we're encouraging people who went through this informal way to come to the city, and we're going to regularize them. We have also got a plan to upgrade some of the existing informal settlements so that we improve the living conditions of the people in those areas, especially by improving water supply, by addressing issues of sanitation, but also working with communities to improve their household toilets.
President Chakwera held similar meetings with Blantyre and Mzuzu City Councils weeks ago in his drive of reforms and address challenges that City Council officials are meeting.
The Malawi judiciary has considered that some practices by judicial officers contribute to the decline on gender-based violence complaints by women and openness of victims to testify in court. Justice Ivy Kamanga of the Supreme Court of Appeal made the remarks in Lilongwe yesterday during the launch of a handbook on gender-based violence aimed at guiding judicial officers in handling gender-based violence cases. This report by Weston Guda.
Supreme Court Justice Ivy Kamanga has said some practices in the judicial system contribute to women shying away from reporting gender-based violence cases or from effectively testifying in court. Kamanga said the handbook that has been launched should be a guiding tool for judicial personnel on how to best handle cases, starting from the clerks all the way to the top. She said that in a way, positioning of victims, the language used which makes the victims feel guilty, and even passing of the sentences contribute to victims holding back. She added that judicial officers should handle cases in a way that survivors should not be subjected to a second trauma other than the actual gender-based violence they initially went through.
Yes, to a certain extent, the courts have contributed. And that contribution has been, as I indicated, all the way from the court-martial. Now, if the court-martial does not know where to put a victim of gender-based violence, it means that this person will not be able to testify.
Team leader for Tetsen Kanza, which funded the production of the book, Grace Malera, has lamented the dehumanization violence which she said robs women and girls of their dignity, adding that this thus calls for tools that should help women achieve social, political and economic fit. According to statistics, 1/3 of women have experienced violence since the age of 15, while 20% experienced sexual violence, for example, making it one of the major challenges the country is facing. For Zodiac in Lilongwe, this is Western Guta reporting.
We now go to sports. Malawi Under-20 national team coach Patrick Mabedi says his charges are ready to start their 2020 COSAFA Under-20 Youth Championship campaign on a positive note by overcoming Comoros this afternoon. Mabedi, however, says his team wants to qualify for the 2021 Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations to be played in Mauritania. Malawi is in Group B alongside rivals Zambia, Comoros and Namibia. Brad Kanyama has more.
Malawi Under-20 national team will begin their 2020 COSAFA Youth Championship campaign with a fixture against Comoros this afternoon in Port Elizabeth, South Africa. Coach for the Under-20 side, Patrick Mabedi, said this is an opportunity for his charges to showcase their skills at international stage and get exposed to the international market. Mabedi said despite a halt in sporting activities for the past 10 months due to COVID-19, his charges shown character at the training field and are all ready to face Comoros later today. The mentor, however, emphasized on the need for his players to take each game seriously as they aim to book a place at the next year's Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations to be staged in Mauritania.
We need to attack this team and we need to make sure that we don't allow them to play. So this is our more approach. We make sure we attack this team, we make sure they don't play, and we make sure we play. So that's our approach to all these games that we play here.
Malawi are in Group B of the competition alongside rivals Zambia, Comoros and Namibia. For Zodiac, this is Bright Kanyama.
That's what we had time for in this edition of news, and before we go, a look at the headlines. SCB warns people planning evil against its employees that they will face the law regardless of position in society. Traditional leader in Blantyre proposes castration on perpetrators of rape and defilement to help end the vice. Chakwera asked Lilongwe City Council to be vigorous in enforcing laws on illegal settlements. In sports, Malawi Under-20 national team ready to face Comoros this afternoon in COSAFA Youth Championship. Log on to our website, zodiacmalai.com, for more on these and other stories. Remember to mask up always when you are in crowded places to help contain the spreading of COVID-19. Bye for now.